Amyoli Sokoni, who's standing by. She's been in the session since the start. She is my neighbor in the sense that she's now currently in Stellenbosch. Hasn't always been that way. This is her first year in the Western Cape. Amyoli Sokoni is from East London in the Eastern Cape, and she finished her matric at Ebenezer Majumbozi High School. From primary school all throughout to high school, Amyoli has always shown a very curiosity towards learning and academic achievement, having been excelling as a consistent top learner, earning recognition at the Eastern Cape Provincial Awards, and being celebrated as the top HDI learner in Buffalo City, as mentioned by Ulihle. Her outstanding matric achievements, I think, let me state them out loud. Accounting, 98%, life orientation, 96%, life sciences, 95%, mathematics, 90%, physical science, 90%, isiXhosa home language, 88%, and English first additional language with a whopping 87%. A superstar indeed. She is currently, as I said, in Stellenbosch, doing her degree in actuarial science at the Stellenbosch University. She's got there with acknowledgement from the university themselves as being a top achiever. She's got aspirations of building a successful career in actuarial and in the financial sector. She's passionate about growth, discipline, and mentorship. She uses her journey as a testament to the power of resilience and hard work. Somebody's got the Springboks on in the background.
Lost the ball backwards.
You can please mute your, thank you very much. All righty, I hope I'm not muted. All right, so Amyoli is here, who's going to be inspiring you as a future global leader to pursue excellence and remain focused on your goal. We've titled Amyoli's session as Inspiring You to Excellence because she was just in your shoes a year ago if you're writing matric finals in just a few weeks. So she knows exactly the kind of pressures that you're going through, exactly the feelings of anxiety, expectation that you're going through. But how do you bottle all those up and get excellent results? She's here to tell you. Amyoli, how are you?
Hi, ma'am. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. So excited. I mean, when I look at your results, I'm like, what is this even possible? 490s, 590s. That's just exceptional. Thank you so much. I know you've had a busy week writing tests and all that stuff. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your journey with us and to inspire abantu bakho, essentially, because you are FGL alumni and some of your I don't know, your juniors in high school are in this session looking to be inspired by you. So welcome. Let me hand over the floor to you, Ava.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Let me share my screen.
Thanks.
I'd like to greet the FGL team, the FGLers, and everyone that has joined the meeting. Thank you so much for having me. Exams don't test what you know. They test your resilience, your discipline, and your ability to keep going, going under pressure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amyoli Sokoni, and I'm a first-year actuarial science student at the Stellenbosch University. Let me first share my screen. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem. All right, you're winning. Take your time.
Yes.
Oh, we can see your screen. Perfect.
Thank you. So to start with just a brief introduction about myself. As you already know, I'm a first-year actuarial science student at the Stellenbosch University. I was invited at the Eastern Cape Provincial Awards for my outstanding matric results at the beginning of this year. I was also invited at the Vice Chancellor's Awards, where I also received a scholarship and a few other things. I am passionate about using education to change my whole situation. Basically, it's been what has been motivating me throughout up to now. It's what wakes me up in the morning and gets me out of my bed. It's what keeps me going even when I don't feel like it. It's what pushes me to study even when I don't feel like studying. So yeah, that's the bit about myself.
Amyoli, do you mind
And
just changing the presentation to presentation layout, just so we can expand it so we see the page per screen?
okay,
So go to slideshow.
sorry.
No problem. Okay, the screen has just stopped showing while you do that, but I think you just need to click on slideshow and then start the presentation from there. Okay, I see your screen again. Perfect.
Is it no?
But Luvugo, can you just jump in here, please? So the tabs on the top there, so from file, there's home, there's insert, there's draw, there's design, transition, animation, then slideshow. So let's click on that slideshow tab. Just say present, does not give you an option to say present.
I
No.
think it's fine. We can
We
perhaps
can proceed
continue
with
with
it in
that.
that size. Okay, sure.
I
Right.
will just zoom into the presentation.
Okay, sure. All
Okay.
right.
Is it fine?
It is showing. There you go. Perfect.
Okay. So yeah, okay. Can I continue now?
Yes, thank you. I'm done interrupting. I'm going to take notes
No,
now.
it's okay. It's fine. Oh my gosh. Okay. So who am I and what is my motivation? Some of you already know me. We went to school together last year, the Ebenezians. Hi guys. So yeah, I am and I was an FGLer just a year ago, and now which is because I was just in your shoes just a year ago. I was sitting there attending webinars, pledging for marks, um, listening to alumni sharing about their stories, and which is funny now that I am here as the one that is sharing about my story to you guys. But yeah, and yeah, I'm honored to have this opportunity to share about my journey, and not just the highlights, but the struggles, the stress, and my not so perfect timetable strategy that has helped me to get through exams. My hope is that by the end of this session, you understand that you don't need a flawless system to succeed. You just need consistency, resilience, and a plan that works best for you. Okay. So I have mentioned that I come from a humble background, which has been my motivation and drive for success. Yeah. So my biggest motivation has always been to create a better future for myself and for my family. I've already mentioned that I am a first year actuarial science student at the Stellenbosch University. I'm one person who is inspired by challenges. I know most people, they don't like challenges because they're like, hey, challenges. Yeah, most people are scared of challenges, but I found challenges a bit exciting because imagine this, if we were just living life that is like smooth, there were no challenges, nothing, how would we grow, right? So I like challenges in the sense of they give you an opportunity to grow. I don't view them as setbacks, but I view them as opportunities to grow and learn, right? Which I believe is what also drew me closer to actuarial science. Because when I was still searching about because when I was still indecisive on what career do I want to pursue, when I was searching about careers, I came across actuarial science, and most people were complaining about how difficult it is, how challenging it is, and everything. In fact, I'd even see videos of people crying because of the course. And instead of that drawing me away from actuarial science, it actually drew me closer to it because I was like, oh, okay, it's challenging. I'm looking forward to the challenge. I want to see it for myself, how I'm going to find it. And to be quite honest with you, it's very challenging, I won't lie, but it's challenging but exciting at the same time. So it's okay. So yes, I'm inspired by challenges, and I am motivated to turn effort into results. I'm one person that is a hard worker. Like I believe in hard work so much. And the reason behind that is that I know that after like after that hard work, there are better, like there are great results that come after you working hard. So it kind of like motivates me. I always give everything my best shot. I always make sure that whatever it is that I do it to my fullest potential. I know that the results that come out at the end, they are satisfying. Like there's nothing that satisfies more than that. So yes, I think we can move on next slide. So to share about my academic journey, my stories with academics started very early from grade 2. I started representing my primary school in district reading and spelling competitions, which is where I realized my academic potential. Yeah, and I remember I went to a point whereby I was invited, I went to represent my district instead, not just the primary school. And then when I was doing grade 4, my primary school introduced academic awards where where I got my like most motivation. I was motivated even further to work harder to because one thing about me, I'm a competitive person. So I was like, okay, fine, I need to make a name for myself before I leave the school and everything. And since then, it has always been something that I started being a top learner from grade 4 throughout my primary, which is something that I wanted to carry to high school. When I got to high school, I was like, oh, okay. I was a planner back in primary, and I had that drive to continue the legacy, to make a name for myself even in high school. When I got I was a top learner from grade 8 up to grade 12, but I said except grade 10. Yes, I was still a top learner in grade 10, just that I was not the number one. I was in the top 5, and that was not really my goal. My goal has always been to, whatever it is that I do, I want to do it exceptionally well. So yes, I was in the top learner, but in the top 5, but I was not really the number one. So I was like, eh, okay, fine. And how did I bounce back from that? I realized that the study methods that I was using that year were not really how, in fact, that year and the previous years were not really what I needed from then moving onwards. Because I saw that my notes were a bit dull. Like I was not using highlighters. It was just notes. And from grade 10, from grade 10, we started doing a lot of theory. I remember life sciences in grade 10. It was tough. It was really tough. So I started changing my study methods a bit, started using highlighters, just something that will excite me, will give me motivation to just study. So yeah, I started using highlighters, started listening to music when I'm studying, just tried out different things, and they seemed to work because I was able to claim back my position in grade 11. And since then, up to the final term of grade 12, I was the overall top learner. I was the top learner, yeah. And then for grade 12, finally, I was the overall trainer of grade 12 in my school, Ebenezer Majongozi High School, and I was also invited at the provincial awards as position 1 HDI for the Buffalo City District, which is yeah a huge achievement, I guess. Oh, and then I also included my pictures. There was my picture in grade 7, the one that is on the right. There was my picture in grade 7 for I think it was the term 4 academic awards, where I was the overall top learner of the whole school. And also, I'm not sure if you can see, but I also received a check, which yeah, okay, I won't dwell more on that, but yeah. And then the picture on the right, that was me on the provincial awards at the beginning of this year. And that's pretty much it. And then moving onward, we are getting to the timetable now. So I refer to it as the not so perfect timetable strategy because it's not your typical study timetable. Because I know some people, they have those long charts of timetable where it's like colorful, bright colors and stuff with columns that say, okay, on Monday I'm doing maths, physics, life orientation. On Tuesday I'm doing accounting. It's like with those cute timetables, let's say it's a weekly timetable or a monthly timetable. I tried doing that, but it just didn't work for me. So I prefer a more like realistic approach when it comes to setting out my time for studying. So what I used to do, which is what I'm still doing even now, to plan a day in the morning, right? So I basically create you take my diary and just write the date for the day and be like, okay, fine, for today I have these hours of studying and this is what I'll be doing throughout the day. Okay, fine. I list like all the time slot that I'd be using to study, that okay, fine, from 10 to 11, I'll be working on this. And then I take a break from this time to this time, I'm working on this. And you specify the subject that you'll be dealing with. If you'll be doing accounting, you specify that today I'll be doing accounting for this time. And you don't just like specify that because there's just a lot in accounting. You can't just like do accounting for the whole day and be like, okay, fine, I'm just doing accounting. You have to be specific. What exactly will you be covering or focusing on in accounting for this day? If that makes sense. Say you want to be working on like income statement, understanding the income statement, doing questions on it. You specify that, okay, fine, today I want to be focusing on accounting, income statement, and then you move, okay, from this time to this time, still during today's time slot that, okay, fine, I'll be doing maths, and what exactly are you covering on maths for this particular day, right? And it should be something that is, you should have achievable goals. You can't just say, okay, fine, I'm studying life sciences today. It should be something that is achievable, because let's say you decide to do evolution, right? Evolution is a big topic on its own. So you can't decide to do evolution like for this time. You have to be specific. What are you covering? It should be something that you can tick off at the end of the day and be like, okay, fine, I was able to cover this. I am done with this after the end of the day, right? And also, you don't focus on the number of hours that you spend studying, because it's not about the number of hours you spend studying, but how much you really understand, how much work you actually cover, not just the amount of, because you can study for 10 hours a day, but you find out that you were only productive for 2 hours of that time, right? You were not productive for the full 10 hours, but also you can just study for like 3 hours and be able to cover a lot. So it's not really about the time you spend studying, but it's about how much work you actually cover during that time slot. I hope I'm making sense. And then you study smart, not hard, which is related to what I just said. It's not about the number of hours you spend studying, but the method you use to study, right? You can study for, let's say, 10 hours a day, and then someone can just study for 2 hours, but you'll understand, let's say you end up understanding the work the same, or probably the person that used just 3 hours to study will cover so much than you when you used 7 hours to study. So it's really not about the number of hours, but it's about finding a study method that works best for you, that you don't need to prolong your study hours, but you don't really cover much in that time, right? And then also you have to be consistent in whatever it is that you choose to do. Let's say if you decide to study from let's say you decide to study from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. It should be something that you are consistent with. It should be something that you do daily, because it's not about you. It won't count if you just do it for today and then the following day you just decide that, oh, I'm just gonna watch Netflix today. I'm not touching the books, and then the following day I'm just going to the beach. Like you don't really have something that's consistent. You should be consistent with whatever it is that you're doing, because remember, like the daily habits that you like, whatever it is that you do daily, it all compounds at the end to give you the final outcome, right? So you should do whatever it is that you're doing consistently. And also don't take studying as something that you do it sometimes. It should be something that is a must. It should not depend on the weather, on your mood. You're like, oh, today I'm happy, okay, I'll study. Today I'm sad, I'm not touching the books. It should be something that you do because it, like, depending on your mood, on the weather, on your emotions. Now it should be something that you stick to regardless of how you're feeling, regardless of the weather. Even if it's raining, you study. Like it's more like you don't have a choice. It's something that you have to do, right? And then also I included that my timetable is more like a coffee fuel to-do list, not a color-coded chart, which is basically I just take my diary, I list what I'm going to do for the day, and then just be specific that, okay, fine, from this time to this time, I'm doing this module or the subject. And yeah. And also it's a flexible approach for me, because let's say you had planned that on your Mondays, you do maths, you do physics, you do accounting. Let's say for that particular day now, you are up to date with everything that you had set to do on your Mondays, right? And let's say you're behind on life sciences, which is not on your Monday timetable. Now you have to constantly change. I don't know, you're just moving around you're just changing things around every time. For me, it doesn't work, because I just prefer to just have that thing that I do daily. Okay, today I'm focusing on this, on this, on this, based on what I feel like what I feel needs focus on that particular day, or what I feel I need to concentrate on that particular day, right? Or what is currently challenging me on that day, right? So it's a very flexible approach for me. Like you can just adjust it depending on your daily challenges or even on your energy level. Because sometimes you find out that you were writing on that particular day, say you were writing maths and you had been busy preparing for maths the previous days, you can't just, even though your timetable, let's say you have that focused timetable that says, okay, on Tuesday, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Let's say you had planned to do your physics, you had planned to do life sciences. Those are challenging subjects. You can't just jump out of a math paper sometimes and go straight to doing those things, right? So your energy levels are obviously going to be low. So you can just like pick something that is easy to do, that you know that you can tick off at the end of the day. Be like, okay, for now, at least I managed to finish this. You can put in your English, your LO and stuff. Yeah. So it's very flexible. Like you can just adjust it depending on your daily challenges and energy levels. And yeah, that I made an example of how my typical study plan looks like for a particular day. Say this is how I normally do it. I write down the date and like, okay, fine, today is this, like this is today. I list the time that I'll be using to study. Let's say I'll be studying from 10 to 1 for that particular day. And also I list the subjects. Né? So what you do is you specify, like you become specific that, okay, I'm doing life sciences, right? Obviously you can't just say I'm doing life sciences. You have to be specific. What exactly are you covering in life sciences for this study session, right? So that you can, it's something that you can achieve and that you can be able to tick off at the end of the day and be like, okay, today I managed to do this, right? So let's say you do your DNA and also be specific. What exactly are you covering in DNA? Okay, I'm doing DNA replication today, so that you know that it's something that you can be able to do. And also, most importantly, have breaks in between your study sessions. Have breaks in between your study sessions because imagine now, let's say you have set yourself to study for 6 hours for the day, and then you push, or let's say 4 hours, and then you try to push for that 4 hours straight without taking breaks in between. What happens is that you find out that, okay, fine, probably you are productive for the 2 hours, but then you find out that the other 2 hours it was just you staring at your laptop or staring at the books without having really covered much because your brain will get tired, right? So you just have to trick your brain to like get a break. It keeps your brain active in a way and also you energized when you just step aside, like step up for some. If just 15 minutes is enough, like if you study for an hour and then take a 15-minute break and then come back for another hour, like that works because it keeps you energized, it keeps you in the mood, right? Yeah. So it's important to make sure that you take breaks in between your study sessions. And yeah, I feel like I'm moving too fast. And in how to face exam stress and fear. We all know that exam season comes with a lot of stress. You become like under so much stress and fear. You're like, there are many people expecting a lot from me. I mean, you are FGLers, so everyone is expecting you to perform like exceptionally. They are expecting to see you on those top tens, top fives. And also there's fear of failure. You fear that you might fail. Like you have those what ifs and also procrastination. Like it's perfectly normal. Like we all go through that. We all went through that in high school. We're still going through it in university. It's perfectly normal. Like obviously you're going to be stressed. Like another thing that also stresses you is that you don't know what to expect, right? One thing we can't do is that we can't really predict what's going to be on the paper. Like you might know the type, like the kind of questions that or the topics that they are going to ask on the exam, but you can't really predict what they are going to be assessing you on, right? And also you are worried about the level of difficulty of the paper. Oh, what if, like, just don't stress yourself about that. It's perfectly normal, right? And yeah, those are the things that cause you to have stress, your procrastination. Because, or to talk a bit about under procrastination, is that you find that we are writing end year exams now, and you will be writing on the content for the whole year, right? You'll be writing on the content for the whole year, and that's just a lot. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, fine. Evolution is just a lot. You keep saying, okay, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll see it tomorrow. I know it gets overwhelming when you're about to do it because you're like, oh, I have to do that. Like you overthink a lot. But yeah, so it's important that because once you do that delaying until the final, like, until the last minute, you will find out that you have minimum, very short time to cover the content before the exam, and that will cause you so much stress. Like procrastination causes you so much stress before the exam, which is important to break your work into just small tasks, right? Break it into small tasks. You know, evolution is a lot. So it's important that you break it up into small tasks. You're like, okay, fine. For evolution today, I'll just do this part, right? And then tomorrow I'm doing this part. And then the following day I'm doing this part. And then you'll find out that, let's say after 2 weeks or after a week, you've covered so much that you wouldn't have covered in just one sitting, right? So those short, small tasks, they help you to like be able to finish the final product and just without feeling that much stress or feeling under pressure so much, which is important too. Don't procrastinate your work, just break it into small tasks that will be manageable and doable. And yeah, and I have said that we can't control, like having stress is completely normal, but now what's important is to be able to manage that stress effectively. What's important is you being able to manage that stress. And how can you do that? Number one, as I have mentioned, you take breaks in between. You take breaks in between. Because let's say you are studying for, we know you are under pressure, you have a lot of work to cover, and then you're like, I'm gonna be focused for strictly 3 hours today. Like I'm not taking a break, I'll be focused with that is just going to cause you stress even more because you find out that you were planning to be focused for that 3 hours. But then you're only focused for an hour. The other 2 hours you were just unproductive because you didn't take breaks and your brain was tired, right? So it's important that you take breaks in between. It helps you to reduce the stress because you find out that you are productive for most of your sessions. And if you're productive in most of your sessions, then it means you find out that you've covered like most of the work, which reduces stress before exams, right? So it's important that you take those breaks. Can't stress this enough. Like take those breaks when you are studying, and also focus on what you can control because you can't really control how the examiner is going to set the paper. You can't like really you can't control how the examiner is going to set the paper. You can't control the level of difficulty of the paper. The only thing that you can do is to prepare and put in the maximum amount of effort that you can. Like give it your all, give it your best shot, and just don't stress about or overthink about things that you have no control over. So focus on preparation because that's the only thing that you can do, is to like use all the resources that you have to prepare for that exam. And yeah, and also avoid comparing yourself to others because we are like those 5 fingers, like we are not equal for like we really are not equal. For some it will take just 2 hours to cover the same concept that it you will take you probably 7 hours to understand, but that's not important because exams are not testing but they are testing knowledge. At the end of the day you will both have covered the work, so don't try to like let's say you see that, oh, okay, fine, this one is studying, they're pulling all nighters, they're sleeping at 3 a.m., at 2 a.m., they are up, they're posting Red Bulls, posting bio pluses. Don't feel under pressure because of that. Focus on what works best for you. If you work well during the day, focus on that, like stick on that. Don't want to adapt to other people's study methods that probably won't work for you. Because you find out that that person who pulls those all-nighters is able to focus during class, like during the day or during the revision classes whatsoever, but you are unable to focus during class. Yes, you were able to study during the night, but in class you are unable to focus simply because you did something that is not that you're not used to or that doesn't work for you. So find what works for you and focus on that. Don't try to copy others and be like, oh, okay, fine, this one is passing because they're doing this. Focus on what will help you to pass without having to take another person's method. Yeah. And then moving on to the next slide. How do you then actually prepare for the exams, right? So what I like the most important things when you are preparing for exams is planning. I can't stress this enough. Like it's very important to plan. Also, just have a diary or something like that used to help me a lot. Like I always had a diary to like plan everything, right? So there's this popular quote that failing to plan is planning to fail. That's so true because if you don't plan, then you are basically setting up yourself for failure, right? So it's important that you plan and also, oh, the way to go about that is first starting at the beginning of each term, you set the marks that you want to get for that term, right? Let's say for your maths, you're aiming to get, and also you guys are FGLs, so I believe you have to pledge at the beginning of each term, but also be intentional with that. Don't just pledge for the sake of pledging because they're saying pledge and then you just pledge. Be intentional about the pledging. Let's say probably you got 75% for maths in the previous term. You can't just be like, okay, fine, I'm aiming for 100. Obviously, yes, it's possible, but be realistic as well. You can't just like, let's say you got 75% in the previous term in maths, and then you're like, oh, aiming for 100% for the following term. It doesn't work like that. Like, be realistic about your plans. You can, okay, fine, from moving from that 75, you're like, okay, fine, I'm aiming for 80%, 85% now. It should be something that you can, at the end of the day, tick off your list and be like, oh, okay, fine. Because what I used to do is that at the beginning of each term, besides pledging, I'd write in my diary, okay, fine, this is what I'm planning to get for this term. I'm planning to get, let's say, 90% in maths, 95% in physics, this, right? Then at the end of the term, I go back. In fact, even during the term, as I'm studying, I go back to that plan and be like, girl, why are you sleeping? Because you said you want to get this, you want to get this, you want to get this. So it's important that you also have it, not just pledge it on the HL website, but have it in your own day. Be like, okay, fine. These are the marks that I want to get for this term. And then what I do is at the end of each term, I'd go back like to my diary and be like, oh, okay, fine. This is what I said I wanted to get for maths, and then I tick it off. I managed to get it. And then this is what I want. I said I wanted to get for physics, and then I tick it off. This is what I said I wanted to get for this and this and that. And then I'd find out, okay, let's say for your accounting, I said I wanted to get a 97%, but then let's say I'm below by 5%, I got 92% instead. And then I'd be like, okay, fine. I managed to achieve everything. And by ticking off, you become so motivated on some, oh, okay, this is working, this is working. But imagine now if you had set unrealistic goals. Let's say if you had set from 60%, you had said 100%. Once you don't get that 100%, those 100%, you're like, you have nothing to tick, and that will demotivate you because you feel like whatever it is that you're doing is not working, or you are not doing well and everything, and that will just demotivate you. And yeah, so it's important that when you are setting those marks at the beginning of the term, you are intentional about them and you actually do work towards attaining them, and not just do it for the sake of pledging, right? And also, you have to prioritize every subject, like those languages that you see as unserious or whatever, your languages and black orientation, those are just as important as your maths and physics. Like they are very important, trust me. Because you find out that, okay, fine, you've got distinction in the other in your serious subjects, but then your life orientation and your languages are their marks are so low, and that will cost you in a way because when they calculate your total average, they include those languages as well. So, and also, I believe we are FGLs. I mean, we're aiming for level sevens, right? So, it's important that you give your languages as much effort and your life orientation. It doesn't have to be a thing of you studying like your languages and life orientation using the same amount of time as your maths and physics now, but make sure that you also include them in your study timetable. That okay, fine, today I'm doing Eastern plus, I'm doing maths, I'm doing this, so that you make sure that you get the highest marks possible even on them. And also when you're writing your essay, like take everything serious. I feel like that's what helped me in high school. I took everything serious. Even if we're just writing an essay, I'd make sure that I prepare and I prepared thoroughly for that essay. Set up idioms just to make it more interesting, more intriguing, and just spice it up a bit so that you get those high marks. So I used to even the oral, I'd make sure I don't sleep. I'm preparing for my oral. Just make sure that you give everything your best shot, no matter how how you view it as how unserious you view it. Just make sure that you give it your best shot, right? And then moving on to my study methods and the environment that I preferred to study. So the main thing that helped me to get the marks that I got throughout my high school as practicing past papers. Like it's very important to practice past papers, very important. Because you get to understand how they ask questions, you get to understand like the trends in the past papers, and it prepares you in a way that you are able to answer or take like a question in any way that it's asked, right? And yeah, because you'd find out that those class questions are not really there to prepare for exams, but they are there to help you understand the content better, right? So by doing those exam questions, you understand the trend, you get to be able to be exposed to the way examiners think, right? Yes. And then when you are doing those past papers, make sure that you don't have music on. Just like do it under examination conditions. Be in a quiet room, no music, no notes next to you, no phone, set a timer for that duration of the paper. Do it under examination conditions, right? So that because in the exam room you won't be having all those. It will just be you and the paper and your pen, and that's all. So make sure that when you are doing the past papers as well, you do it just exactly like that. And after doing the past paper, you mark yourself. And when marking yourself, you don't just mark and then be like, oh, okay, fine, I got this mark, and then you put the paper aside. No, you go through your paper, you take the memo, put it next to you, take the paper, and then you go through your answers, what you did incorrectly, and then you highlight them with a different pen if possible. You highlight them and be like, oh, okay, fine, I made a mistake here. This is the reason I made a mistake, and then you note them down. Because it used to help me prepare for the exams in a way that before I go to the examination room or the days before the exam, I'd go through those mistakes just to make sure that you don't repeat the same mistake when you are answering in the exam room, right? And yeah, and then another thing that used to help is that I'd stay after school. I started doing that in grade 10. I started doing that in grade 10, I believe. Because in my school, Ebenezer, the matriculants used to attend evening classes. So the rest of the grades would be allowed, like would be released early around 3 or 2, I don't know, but yeah, don't remember. But yeah, we would be released by that time. And then I would stay behind and study like same as matriculants. I was still in grade 10 by then. Hence, I'm saying I've always been serious. But yeah, so I'd stay behind after school, go through my notes, like study, go through whatever it is that was taught in class that day, and make sure that I go because there's nothing yet that you're rushing to do at home, really. It's just you watching TV and stuff. Like you could be gaining knowledge for that, like during that time come on. So yeah, I used to stay behind after school, go through my notes, go through everything that was covered in class. Because, like, I mean, you're away from distractions. It's just you, and even the classrooms used to be empty by then. So it would just be me, my books, and just, yeah, focusing. And also, I know I did mention a thing of not using music when you're doing the past papers, but that's just when you are doing past papers, not under and exam condition. What am I even saying? Not under exam, not under yeah, whatever. But yeah, so you can listen to music when you're studying because it makes everything less overwhelming. It makes everything seem like less, yeah, it makes everything seem less overwhelming because it's just, it kind of like distracts your mind from thinking about the work too much. And you're like, okay, fine. It makes everything seem easy, if I can put it like that. Yeah. And, but it depends based on the music that you use to study. You can't be using like listening to R&B when you're studying, because obviously you'd want to sing along to the lyrics and stuff. Like you want to, that will become a sort of distraction in a way because you'd want to sing along to the lyrics and stuff. Yeah. So what I used to do was to listen to just beats. If you can search on YouTube, there's lo-fi hip hop study music. But yeah, that used to help a lot. I'm still using it even now, even. So yeah. And also to understand your challenging subjects such as your maths, physics, accounting. I'm not sure. I didn't use YouTube for accounting, but some people are using YouTube. I used to watch YouTube videos because you'll find out that sometimes you don't understand something that was taught in class and probably you didn't get time to ask a question or anything. So watching YouTube videos, it enabled me to understand the work even more thoroughly. And because in on YouTube you get to be exposed to different tutors, right? That are teaching in different ways. So you get to be exposed to different teaching styles, and then you get to choose which one actually works best for you. So for me, I was using Kevin Math Science and Mlungi Sinkosi. they really helped. They really like played a major role in getting me to where I am now. So yeah. And then seek help as much as possible. Do not have pride. Like go to your peers, ask for help. I know you are the geniuses, but there are sometimes things that we don't get to understand, right? So it's important to seek for help when you feel like you don't understand something from it. It can be from your peers, it can be going to your teacher after the class, or even raising your hand in class. Because one thing about me, okay, let's talk about me. I used to not like asking questions. Like I would never raise my hand in class and ask a question. So yeah, I highly recommend doing that because thing is, you'd say, okay, fine. One thing about me, I'd fear asking questions in class, right? So I'd be like, okay, I'll just look it up when I get to home, and then you'd find out that days are passing and I haven't went back to whatever it is that I didn't understand in class. So it's important that you ask it at that moment and that you get clarity right at that moment than just delaying it. It's more like procrastination in a way. Right. So it's important to ask those questions in class. But if you can't, if you're like me, you can't ask in class, it's important to go to your teacher after. Because one thing about me, I'd bother my teachers a lot. Like I'd just go to their offices and be like, ma'am, I didn't understand this. Can I sit down and you explain this? And then one thing about teachers, they really do not mind to answer to all your questions. They really do not mind to answer to all your questions. So ask them those questions, go to them, private them, and then be like, ma'am, can you please break this down? I don't understand. And another advantage about asking after class is that you get to have a conversation about the topic because when you're asking in class, it's just a matter of you raising your hand and be like, I didn't understand this, and then they just respond to that. It's not a back and forth type of thing. But if you are with them, like seated down, they even get to like draw pictures for you to make sure that you understand it clearly, right? So it's important that you ask your teachers for help and utilize all the available resources because you find out that schools now there are Wi-Fi's, but we are not making use of them the way we should be. Like we use Wi-Fi's to get to TikTok, go on Instagram, and yeah, but use those Wi-Fi's to download your YouTube videos that will help you to understand the theory and content more better. And yeah, and also attend those extra classes. Attend those extra classes. I know it's a tendency of geniuses. They're like, nah, I'll just cover this when I get it. Like, I can just do this on my own. I don't need to attend the extra class. But believe me, that will just make sure that you attend those extra classes, no matter how much you believe it. Because one thing about me, when I used to attend those extra classes, I used to like learn something new, like every day, like every time I'd attend an extra class, I was always learning something new. So it's really important that you attend those extra classes. Yeah, you might be a genius, but you never know, you might get something new. Just attend those extra classes, please. And also getting to focus and mindset, make sure that you minimize distractions. Minimize distractions. Like there's this one quote from I got it from Lisha's book. I used to read Lisha's book a lot, the book of quotes. And I even wrote the notes down on sticky notes and pasted them across my wall. Because yeah, there are those days where you're like, hey, I'm feeling a bit demotivated. I like there's nothing that is motivating you to continue going and to keep going and stuff. But those quotes, they really helped me a lot. And on the issue of distractions, there's that quote that says, what if you don't sacrifice what you want will become the sacrifice. So make sure that your goals don't become the sacrifice, but you sacrifice the things that you can sacrifice to make sure that you reach that goal. So yeah, one thing about me, I make sure that I remove everything that distracts me. I remember in grade 9, I deleted, like literally, I deleted my Facebook, I deleted everything. I was only remaining with WhatsApp, and I had only WhatsApp from grade 9 up to grade 12. I had only WhatsApp because I had to be able to access the school groups. And yeah, just for no, it was not just for school, obviously to interact with the family and your friends and everything, but Facebook and the rest of the apps I didn't have. I just download TikToks during holidays, and yeah, because one thing about me, I value time because I was like, you can't be on social media at this time, you should be studying. But yeah, and yeah, be very stingy with your time as well. Like, be very stingy with your time. Because I know we have friends. Friends will be like, my guy, let's go out. It's weekend. You can't be just, yeah. But no, I'm not saying don't go out with friends, but like know when to and when not to. be able to differentiate the times of like, okay, fine, now I can actually go out, but now I can't. And be able to say no, be very stingy with the time that, okay, today I can't. Like I have a lot to cover, I'm writing on Monday or whatever. But be stingy with the time, like every second counts, especially for you matriculants, like every second counts. Make sure that you don't waste time doing things that will not help you in um the long process. So yeah, and then moving on to the next slide, how do you handle the distractions? I mentioned that I was removing everything that was just removing my focus from books. So I was deleting those social, but you don't really have to delete social media. You just have to be able to manage it. And also, when you are taking breaks, make sure that you don't take breaks and go to social media. Because what you'll find out that let's say you take a break and then you scroll through social media. Let's say you see something that will distract you, and then something very disturbing. When you go back to studying, your brain will still be fixed on whatever it is that you saw on social media. So make sure that, because you'll find out that you spend the rest of the session, you were just done with the books. Yes, you were working, but your mind was not really here. It's still focused on whatever it is that you saw on social media. So be very mindful of that. When you're taking a break, just take a walk, go get water, have a snack, do something else that will keep your brain focused on whatever it is that you're doing. And then after the study session, you can then go to your TikTok, go to your Insta, go to everything else. Yeah, and then I did mention that you should break your task into manageable steps, because you find out that when you just like try to cover the whole content in one sitting, it also becomes distracting in a way, because your mind will then just zone out and you start thinking about other things, because what is in front of you is overwhelming. There's just a lot of work that you've put in front of you that you can't really cover now. But if you break it up into like small tasks that you can like cover in just that city, in that one sitting, it keeps your brain engaged in whatever it is that you're doing. And then you find out that after the study session, oh, actually, I was able to do this. I understand this, and yeah. So it's very important that you don't overwhelm yourself with. You don't just try to study the whole content in one sitting. Just try to break it up into small tasks that are doable and that you will actually be able to manage for that particular time. And then yeah, I did mention the being of removing temptations. If you're studying, just put your phone on social or on airplane mode, or just yeah, you don't really necessarily have to deactivate your Insta accounts or your social media accounts, but just don't let it distract you when you are studying. Put it on flight mode, switch off your notifications, just make sure that it doesn't distract you during your study session. And then after studying, you can then, yeah. And then let's get to the approach for the exam. How do you approach the actual exam, like the day before or during before the exam, right? So what I used to do the day before the exam is that I wouldn't try to cover heavy content the day before the exam. I try to do that the days before. But the day before, you make sure that you don't try to cover, because you're just going to overwhelm yourself the day before. The day before, just go through your examination guideline, review the key points. But okay, fine. If I'm doing this, if it's a question, let's say under vertical projectile motion, I have to know my equations and I have to know how to draw the graph. You're just going through those key things, because you find out that you've done many questions, but if you don't understand the basic things, it will become difficult for you to answer the questions, right? So it's important for you to like make sure that you ace the basics, those small things. They even you can even forget the sign sometimes and be like and use positive instead of negative. Just make sure that you polish those things, polish your basics. And because once you flow with it, like once you are good with your basics, it helps you to be able to attack the question in it, even if they try to complicate it in any way. As long as you understand your basics, it becomes easy for you to be able to see those twists between problems and be actually able to solve them. And yeah, go through your cheat sheets before the exam, know the formulas, the definitions, those small things. Just focus on acing those the day before the exam. And also, I did mention that you focus on UK's areas. You know that, okay, fine, this is what I was challenging me throughout throughout the time I was practicing. This is what was challenging. And then you try to review those things. But okay, fine, this is okay, when it comes to vertical projectile motion, this is what I kept missing. Hence, I said it's important that you highlight your mistakes. You highlight your mistakes when you're doing those past papers so that the day before exams, you can just go through those past mistakes and see that, oh, okay, fine, this is where I was getting it wrong, so that you don't repeat the same mistake in the exam room, right? And most importantly, do not pull an all-nighter before the exam. Make sure that you get enough sleep possible. Like at least sleep a minimum of 7 hours. Don't try to make your mind the day before. Just make sure that you rest the day before the exam. Yes, you can study. I'm not saying you can't study, but don't try to pull an all-nighter when you're about to write an exam. You're setting up for, like, you are basically setting up yourself for failure if you do that. Because let's say you pull the all-nighter, like you're starting the whole night, you're writing like the following day in the morning. You've been working for weeks. You've been working for weeks, and then you find out that the day of the exam, your brain is tired because you didn't give it enough time to rest. And if your brain is tired, you won't be able to, like, there are questions that will need you to think critically sometimes, that will require you to think out of the box. You won't be able to do that because your brain is tired, right? And then you find out that you wasted your time studying, but you're unable to answer the exam question, like the exam question paper now. So it's important that you make sure that you get enough rest the day before the exam. And yeah, so what you do in the exam room, um, don't just jump to answer. Don't just jump to go to the questions. First, for some subjects, you get to be given reading time, but it's important to first go through the paper, scan the paper, and be like, oh, okay, fine. Question one, they're asking about this. Question two, they're asking about this. And then you pick which question is difficult, which question will need more time. You plan before you actually start answering the question paper. And another thing that's important is to make sure that you start with the easy questions. Because once you start with the hard questions, you'll get overwhelmed in the middle of the exam, at the beginning of the exams. And even the very simple things now will seem difficult. So it's important that when you, like, before you answer the paper, you first go through your questions and see which questions you, I think, that are easy. And then you answer based on that. Because once you start with the easy questions, you get excited, it builds your momentum that even when you get to the hard questions now, you don't really view them as difficult. Your mind is actually able to think about them, and you're like, oh, okay, fine. This is that, this is this, right? So it's important that you start with the questions that you know or that you think are easy so that you can build confidence and that you can ace that paper. And also, it's very important that you read your instructions carefully because for some subjects, you find out that they say you should round off your final answer to a minimum of 2 decimal places. But if you just round it off to 1 decimal place, you will lose that 1 mark. And I believe for us FGLs, it's very important that we get those small marks. So you find out that that 1 mark costed you from getting that 100% that you were going to get, and then you end up getting those like a 98%. I believe we're aiming for the best, so we want to get those small marks. We try to make sure that you don't miss or you don't lose marks because of silly mistakes. Yeah, and then also when you are stuck in an exam question, don't spend 30 minutes trying to crack just one question. Just move to the next and then you come back to it after. Because if you exhaust your brain trying to think about the same thing and you're not getting it right, you will, number one, you will run out of time. You will see, oh, for the other questions, you have like very limited time now. And then you will just rush through them. And probably they were going to be easy for you. But now that you're working under a very limited time, you like your mind just goes all over the place, and then you find out that you're unable to answer even the questions that were going to be easy. So, but if you just move on to the next question and then you come back after, do the other questions, and then if you still have time, you go back to it, and then yeah, you wouldn't have like sacrificed the marks of the other questions trying to solve the same problem. Yeah, stay calm, breathe, and keep a positive mindset. Because if you're panicking in the exam, you will even forget what you studied, right? Just make sure that you take that breath, like believe in your preparation, be like, okay, fine, I prepared enough. Don't be stressing about anything else that you have no control over. You did what you could, you practiced, you studied, you prepared. Now you just have to apply whatever it is that you studied. It's really not that deep. So just calm down, breathe, and be positive. Don't think about the what ifs. What if they ask this question in a difficult way? What if, just focus on what you have learned, believe in what you have studied. Yeah, and in the effort that you have put in. And yeah, how do you stay motivated? So I mentioned setting clear goals for each study session and subject, because once your goals are clear about what you want to be covering in that study session, what you want to be doing, like which subject will you be doing and what will you be doing on that subject, after the study session, you'll be ticking things off and it keeps you motivated. It keeps you going that, oh, okay, fine. Yesterday I managed to cover this and that and that and that. So when you move on to the next day, you are looking forward as to what you will cover today. Like it keeps you motivated in a way, right? And also celebrate those small wins to maintain momentum, right? So let's say you were aiming to get this mark for physics. If you are able to get that mark, celebrate it. Don't just and be like, oh, okay, fine. One thing about me, Kay, which is something that is not good, is that I was focused on just like how do I put this? Like I'd be like, oh, okay, fine. This is what I'm aiming for. What once I achieve that, I'm already moving on to the next. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. This is what I'm planning to achieve now. Like I wouldn't celebrate my wins. I would just focus on. I'm always looking forward to. Okay, fine. What am I doing next? Okay, fine. This one down. What are we doing next? Like I had that mindset of man. Okay, you've achieved this. We're done with that one now. What are you doing next? So just like try to celebrate those small wins so that it keeps you motivated. Yeah, and also use mentors, success stories, and motivational quotes to stay focused. I mentioned Lisha's book. It kept me going so much because there were times where I like, oh, I don't feel like waking up today. I don't feel like going to class. But then I'm like, oh, there's this quote that says you rest. And then I'm like, hey, girl, get up. Like, so it's important that you have something that keeps you focused, even if it's just, like you have a role model or something, someone that you look up to and be like, oh, girl, your girl is winning. Why are you sleeping? Right. So have something that is motivating you to stay focused. Right. And yeah, I did mention that. I always keep the bigger picture in mind. Be like, oh, okay, fine. I see myself as this person. I want to own that mansion. I want to drive that Mac. I want this. I want that. But how am I going to get it if I'm just lazing around, right? So always keep the bigger picture in mind and be like, okay, fine. Now that I'm just lying in bed, who's going to get me that Mercedes Benz? Who's going to get me that mansion, right? So always have the bigger picture in mind, which will help you to stay focused, right? Yeah, because your effort now will then shape your future. Make sure that you put in the maximum amount of effort possible. You give it your best. You give everything that you do your best shot. Yeah, yeah, guys, I believe in you. You are capable of achieving excellence, and you are even capable of achieving beyond what I've achieved. Don't view challenges as setbacks, or just take them as opportunities to learn and grow. Be Yeah, and then also find your motivation and hold on to it. Because I mentioned earlier that what was motivating me was the drive to change my home situation and to like change my life and my family's life for the better. So I want you to also find something that is motivating you, something that will get you out of bed in the morning, something that will force you to study even in on days when you feel like today I don't feel like studying. Find motivation that will keep you going, that will um guide you to achieving your dreams. And yeah, it's not about perfection, it's about you. Those small tasks that you do daily will then compound into something big, something that like whatever it is that you desire. It all takes those small daily habits that you form for each day. And then yeah. And then my plans for the future. For now, I my main goal is to just get in this degree and to become a member of the Actuarial Society of South Africa. And then everything else will then flow from there. Otherwise, from now, we're still trying to child this degree. And yeah, thank you so much.
Oh wow, Amyoli, thank you so much. I mean, so many pieces of insights and techniques that for the FGLers to hold on to there. Like, thank you so much. I know this has been a crazy week for you in the middle of exams and all, but for you to put this together for us is really incredible. And I know all the FGLers that are here are truly inspired to excellence by hearing your journey and hearing your practical tips. I have some questions here. Uazukuhle has got a question about resources. What kind of resources were you using from grade 10 to 12? I think you did touch on some of them. You'd spoken about some YouTube channels. Perhaps you can repeat those and the extra lessons you did.
Oh, okay. The resources for grade 10, um, maths, physics, what else? Life sciences. I would highly, there are those apps, those mobile apps. I don't remember their name, but I think it just writes, okay, grade 10 mathematics, those mobile apps, the white ones. I used to use that for the past papers. They used to help a lot, I won't lie, because they already have memos under them. And for matric, I used Stanmore Physics. Yeah, I used Stanmore Physics, test papers, SA papers. What else? Is Department of Education. Yeah, I remember those four. And also another thing that I forgot to mention when you are doing past papers, like the Eastern Cape papers, yes, they are challenging, but try doing the challenging ones. Your northern, like your northwest papers, your Bobo, those are really challenging. They have really challenging questions. So if you want to like open your mind and be able to think critically about those questions for your physics, especially and maths, try doing the Limpopo and also Free State, Limpopo, and Northwest papers, please.
Okay, great. So following on in the exam sitting, so the final exam setting, does it differ throughout the year in grade 12 specifically? Is it a different exam setting for your final matric exam? Also, the question of, is there anything you could have done differently to prepare for a specific exam? Any, in hindsight, I could have done this better.
Okay, let me start with the last question. What I believe I could have done better was because one thing about me, I used to study, I believed in studying alone a lot. And I really wish I was like, I got to be part of some like a study group or something. Because I believe when you share the work that you do, you get to be exposed to a lot that you didn't get to understand in class. So try to like get into those groups. I believe they work a lot because I've seen in varsity, they are really helpful.
Okay, all right. And then in terms of exam environment, everything that they would have experienced in the midterm exams is exactly what they'll experience in the final exams for matric, right? The conditions stay the same?
For matric, your trial exams are very similar to your final exams. So even when you're preparing for your final exams, don't just focus on when you're downloading those papers, don't just focus on the final papers. Trial and final papers, they will make sure that you're ready for your finals. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I've got two more questions. Wait, let me go. Sleep schedule. Lusango had a question on sleep at the start of your presentation. You mentioned how important sleep was the day before you write an exam, but throughout the year, what do you value sleep throughout the course of the year?
One thing about me, Mbango, I was one person who used to procrastinate a lot. Like I'd pull all-nighters, right? But I believe it's mainly because I didn't really study much during the in fact, for matric, I used to study during the day and at night as well. Like I was making sure that I give it my best, like I give it the maximum amount of effort possible. So if you are a person that can like study night, yeah, you can then go for it. But make sure that the day before it is you don't. And also make sure that it doesn't affect your focus in class. Just that I was able to focus in class as well. And then I'd attend classes, come back, take a nap, before I go back to studying, and then I'd study the whole night.
All right. And then another one from Lisa Kanya. How do you prioritize tasks when everything feels like it's important?
Ooh, it depends. I feel like it depends based on, let's say, for me, let's say I'm writing, it depends on what you're writing. Let's say on that particular week, you prioritize based on what you're or what will count for marks. Because let's say, how do I explain this? Let's say you're studying for, let's say you're writing maths this week, you're writing physics. Obviously, you can't be focusing on, yes, they are all challenging, I understand, but you can't be focusing on geo, on accounting and stuff when you're writing this week. So you focus based on what you are writing as well. Like you focus on, okay, fine, this week I'll be writing this. So let me put everything behind and focus on this sheet. And
Yeah.
then I can then catch up on everything else after.
I think what I've realized from your presentation here this afternoon, Ms Amyoli, is the fact that studying is a state of being. So you're not just rushing to get the content and the understanding just
Yes,
before exams. So you're able to prioritize in the learning before you are actually preparing for exams. So a study
yes,
schedule and a timetable and study habits you build throughout the course of your academic journey,
exactly,
and then you're prepared to study for exams.
exactly.
All right. Okay. And then just stresses about, and how do you manage stress? You know, when you didn't make your target mark, how did you bounce back? I mean, you did touch on bouncing back after grade 10, not being the top one learner. But really, how do you handle failure?
I think another thing that makes it better is talking about it. Because for me, I used to be close with people that I've done like they were people that have had walked the same journey that I was walking that were before me. So I just be like, I call them and be like, hey, this is happening and I'm struggling to cope. How did you guys do this? And then they would be like, nah, it happens, it's possible. Like that's how I was able to handle failure, honestly. Yeah, it's talking about it to people that have already walked the journey before you. I'm not only talking to the matriculants, even if you're in grade 9, there are people that have done grade 9 that are in grade 10. Try to reach out to them and be like, how did you do this? Ask for help. Yeah,
Mm.
and insights.
Fantastic. Well, a lot of people are just saying thank you so much. They are inspired. Azokuhle is inspired. Umta, Uti, one of our own. Thank you so much, Sokoni.